Hey, this is Keith Baldwin with Baldwin Success Coaching. Hey, so I was just up in Alaska visiting my son and granddaughters. My son and I were in there talking, and my 5-year-old granddaughter Ellie pulled out this bottle of Mucinex out of, or not Mucinex,
Metamucil.
pulled out a bottle of Mucinex out of the cabinet and asked my son, so, hey, Daddy, what's this? And my son Chris said, well, it's, it helps you, go poo. And she goes, ooh, can I have some? And so Chris mixed a little bit up into a little bottle and into a little glass, and she drank it down and kind of ran away. And just minutes later, we heard her yelling from the bathroom, Daddy, it's not working. And so Chris laughed and said, honey, it takes longer than that. And I was just kind of thinking about that. Aren't we all a bit like that? That we all kind of want instant results for everything that we do, right? She thought she could just drink something and would be regular right away. But I was thinking about that with our teams and with ourselves. Don't we all just want immediate results? We want to do one thing and have our lives change or have ourselves change. There's this great quote that says we can't change our destination overnight, but we could change our direction right now, right? And so thinking about that with our teams, I have a friend of mine, David Booker, that I follow online, and we knew each other through B&I, Business Network and International Group. He posts pretty regularly about his weight loss journey. Now he's a boxer and has this incredible physique, but he posts that, this didn't happen overnight, that he really focused on what he ate and his workout routines, and he's consistent with his workout routines all the time. And so building this body and this physique was something that he built over time. And the same thing is true with building our teams. There's a lot of times that we just have this tendency to hope that, hey, I'm going to send my team to some sort of team building episode. And I've had people ask me, so hey, I need a team building thing, or why don't you come in and do a luncheon team building thing. And my question is always why, and what's going to happen before it, what's going to happen after it, because companies spend trillions of dollars every year on various training and team building things, and oftentimes don't get the results that they're after. So when you're thinking about your team and thinking about yourself, just remembering that it takes time. It takes some persistence, it takes time, and the change happens slowly. Certainly there are some things that we can do to turn things around and start making some impacts quickly in our business. I talk about a few of those in some of the resources that we have. But overall, to build a team, a high-performing, highly engaged, excited, cohesive team takes time. So there's two things that I want to encourage you to be patient with. First of all, we need to learn to be patient with ourselves. I know a lot of business owners that I've worked with, talked with over the years. It's really easy, we're so good about beating ourselves up, right? And, we try something, we don't see the results we want, and so 2 weeks later we're really on ourselves, oh man, I suck, right? And so we're, just remembering that it takes time. So if you're on this journey and you've decided you really want to turn your leadership skills around and you want to become an incredible leader and manager of your team, it takes time. One of my favorite books that I read about raising kids was called something like, Mom, stay out of my life, but first would you drive Emily and I to the mall? And one of the things I remember so much about this book was that it said that, as parents, we're going to screw it up all the time, right? We're going to mess up all the time. But as long as we're doing it consistently, and we are doing our parenting role, and whatever, however you define that, we're doing it out of love for our kids, that's probably going to come out okay. And so I'd say the same thing about building teams. Oftentimes we get in these challenging conversations with our team members, and we're trying to support them. We're trying to make sure they understand the expectations of their role. We're trying to hold them accountable, but also help them succeed in that role. And sometimes in those conversations, we're going to mess it up. Or we're going to say something and the team member may get upset, or we may see their production go down over the next week. And just remember that that's part of this human experience of developing ourselves as leaders, is knowing that there is no exact perfect thing to say or do, and that our leadership style needs to be a reflection of our own unique strengths and our own unique values and gifts that we have. And then looking at how do we apply these consistently over time to help bring out the best of our team. But there's not like this, we don't get a book that says, hey, here's the exact thing to say to each team member depending upon who they are, right? And so sometimes we're going to mess it up, and if we do, that's okay. We just want to open up that communication with the team member and just keep doing it again and keep having these conversations again, knowing that if we keep trying, we keep learning from our own experiences and see how we can get better and better at these conversations that we're going to have with our team members. For those of you who have looked at some of the resources or downloads that we have, one of the things that I encourage is having weekly conversations with team members. You know, this idea about catching them doing things right, providing positive feedback, doing spot coaching every week, you know, observing some interaction they have or something within their role, and then providing them with some sort of feedback that's going to be both positive, but maybe if we see an area for improvement, you know, to be asking them some coaching type questions, ask them, how could they be slightly better next time? And so just thinking about that as you do this as the leader, that your own leadership style is going to develop. But it takes this consistency. You know, going back to the conversation that my granddaughter was having with my son, you know, we want to be regular, right? So we want to be regular in these conversations with our team members, because in order to do that, we'll create some consistent change over a period of time. So first of all, be patient with yourself. Second, learn to be patient with your team. Now, I'm a strong believer in setting clear expectations for team members and then holding them accountable for what they say they're going to do. You know, I need that. I mean, I have mentors and coaches in my life who I've hired to hold me accountable for doing the things that I said I was going to do. Like, one of my clients told me that he hired me to hold him accountable to make sure he does the things he already knows he should do. And so he was already very successful, and he wanted somebody to help him be better, to help elevate him. And I need that, and he needed that. We all need that. And so with your team members, yes, we want to hold them accountable, and yes, we want to set clear expectations for them, and yes, we want to help them develop and bring out their own unique strengths. But remember that it takes time. One of the things we're working at doing is changing human behavior. Changing human behavior takes a lot of time. Right? We, you know, if it didn't, the diet industry wouldn't be a multi-billion-dollar business, because we all know that we should eat better food, drink less beverages that have, you know, zero value to us, and to move our bodies on a regular basis. Like, we know that, right? But yet every day when I go through the supermarket check stand, in amongst all the candy bars and the junk food, there's all these books, you know, like People magazine, and I don't know, I can't remember, you know, not books, but magazines, all these magazines all over the shelves, right? The impulse buy shelf that says, you know, hey, new diet secret, new Hollywood secret, you know, new South Beach secret. So we got all these books telling us to do the things we already know that we should be doing, or these magazines telling us to do the things we already know we should be doing. So just remember, it takes time to change human behavior. You know, one of the interesting things about you know, the technology we have had for the last few decades is that, you know, now scientists can see that learning is really a process of rewiring the brain, right? It's about rewiring how the synapses connect together, how strong they are, how quickly those messages spread. And so just thinking about that in coaching and developing our team members, we're really helping to rewire their brain. They may have had some habits that they've developed in school or at a prior employer, and to actually change that, you know, that approach, their natural instinct to how they respond to problems, or maybe their procrastination, or maybe not doing things that are challenging for them, you know, we're helping them rewire their brain for better success. And that certainly takes time. So really, the big point for today's message is that as you look at the resources on my page, and there's a ton of resources available online about building teams, is remember that we want to be patient with ourselves, and we want to be patient with our team members. You know, give ourselves time, like basically a lifetime, to continually to improve. Imagine if your leadership and management skills, your communication skills, imagine if you could improve those 1% a week, right? Just a little bit of change. You know, when you think about this concept of experiential learning, that we try something, and we try it with a team member, we try a new coaching conversation, and then we look at how it works, and then we tweak it just a little bit, so next week we're just a little bit better in that conversation. So imagine if you just improve your leadership style by 1% a week, even 1% a month, what huge drastic changes you would see just within a year. And imagine that over a 5-year or 10-year period. But we don't necessarily learn just by doing. We need to learn by reflecting on how whatever we did happened. In fact, that's a cycle of experiential learning, is that we take some sort of action and then we observe the impact of that action and we reflect on, what could I have done better? One of my mentors, Larry Broughton, talks about when he was in Special Forces, that after every exercise, after every mission, after every training that they did something called an after action review, or AAR. And so think about that for yourself, that after every major thing that you do with your team, or even small things you do with your team, to do an after action review and think about what went well, what didn't go so well, or how can we make it better next time, right? And so that's part of the experiential learning process, is to reflect on the actions you took and think about the outcomes that you received from those actions. And by doing that, you'll improve just a little bit over time. And so if you're lucky, you have mentors in your life or coaches in your life or other people that you can talk to about this, because sometimes we can't really see for ourselves the impact we're having on other people. And so having other people that you can discuss this with will help us learn how to get better and better as leaders and managers. And then your role in turn as a leader and manager for your team is knowing that it's going to take time to help them continue to improve, and you can be the person that reflects back to them. Some of the best mentors and coaches I've had in my life were those that held that mirror up for me and helped me see myself in a more clear light. Sometimes it was great. Other times, I saw areas I could improve. So your role with your team member is to help them see their gifts and help them see, their potential, and then help them see how they can be better in the future. In fact, there's this concept called cognitive dissonance, where when we see where we are right now, like really clearly, and so we can reflect back to people where they are right now, and then we can see the potential they have, and they can get a real clear picture of what's possible for them. It creates this tension and this desire to want to close that gap. And so your role with your team members is to help them do that. So the big point, or hopefully the main point of today's Facebook post, is to be patient. Be patient with yourself, be patient with your teams, but be persistent. Because the more persistence and regularity we have with both thinking about ourselves and how to develop our leadership skills, but then also thinking about our teams and knowing it takes time for them to develop their leadership role in within the job they have, that it takes time and consistent effort. So hope that makes sense, and please, hey, comment below. What's been the major thing that you've seen in your own personal development that's helped you be persistent and take time to continue to be better and better each week? So I'll be back on Thursday at 12 noon Pacific. Thanks for watching this video. Take care. Goodbye.